Hi everybody, just waiting for a few more people to join online. Hi, my name is Mark Hoyle. I'm the Archaeological Illustrator for Northern Archaeological Associates, based in Barnard Castle, and to coincide with the release of Contact, Concord and Conquest, the new monograph, which is freely downloadable from the Archaeological Data Services website, I've been running workshops all this week. Sadly, this is the last one, so I'm going to kind of try and tie everything together, look at how we kind of use digital techniques as well as the hand-drawn techniques to create illustrations for publication. The last 2 days we've been looking at small finds, brooches. Okay, I spent the rest of yesterday kind of inking in what you saw over the last 2 days live in the workshop. I've scanned that in. We're going to look at how we kind of lighten the scan up and kind of get ready for layout for publication. But before we do that, I'd like us to have a look at another type of material, iron. Now, iron can be really nice to draw. Okay, I've got this lovely kind of handle here, this kind of with as you can see, kind of split loops. This loop will be kind of down here, and we're kind of going to have a look at how you kind of use line work to draw the iron. You can stipple. Sometimes people get bogged down in kind of putting in far too much detail in iron work, which doesn't necessarily need to be there. Let me show you a piece here. Okay, so you have a piece of iron here. Okay, this is an iron object. But as you can see, you can't really tell what it is unless you kind of look through the section here. You can kind of see the iron in here. Now, a lot of this does not need to be added on. Okay, this detritus that's kind of attached to it isn't part of the object itself, so it doesn't need to be shown. A lot of the times when objects are kind of like in this state, you just work from X-rays. Specialists just want an outline, so you should be able to pick out the outline of the object through the X-ray. But if you're lucky, you get an object which has been conserved and cleaned, and kind of looks a bit like this. So you can kind of see, obviously, I need a side view of it and a top view as well. So again, like my best Blue Peter performance, I've prepared the one earlier. Now, again, if you're going to do this, remember you place the object down flat on the drawing board, use your set square. Remember, you can get different types of blocks on the side to make sure they stand up right, and kind of put dots down. So what I'm going to do is turn you around, and we're going to have a look at kind of the line work which is involved in this. So hopefully have the object and the kind of outline. It's okay, a few key markers you can kind of see here. There's a kind of split in the loop up there. Hopefully that's picked up. I've put that in. And I've also included some of the on the side of the object. Now again, when we're doing this, one's being kind of worked. So all we would do is pull lines away from the kind of some of the marks I've created already. And all this does, it's just indicative. It gives you a sense of the material being slightly different from copper alloy. You can add dots in if you want to kind of show some of the kind of the erosion, some of the detail. You don't need to spend too much time, simply because a lot of specialists will just ask for outlines of iron work. So again, I'm just adding in a few lines which are indicative of which way the iron's being kind of worked. Again, around here is a very simplistic. Sometimes I said before, stippling and adding just examples that you can get. I'll show you here. Okay, I'll zoom in. Hopefully you can see that. You can see how to indicate the direction of the metal. Now, hopefully at the bottom of this publication you can kind of see it says 1 to 3. Okay, so again, when we're looking at creating a drawing, we need to understand the scale of the publication, the size, the parameters of the either monograph series or the publication itself, and make sure that when we're scaling objects, it doesn't scale down too small. Obviously, when I've explained before, you draw 1 to 1, blow it up twice the size, and then pull it back down. Some publications you kind of have to reduce further. Some of the objects, like the spearhead, is far too big to fit in at kind of half scale 1 to 1. So you need to kind of look at the reductions and kind of move that down again. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to transfer you around, and we're going to have a look at some digital illustrations. Now, you should be able to see on the screen here, scan. Now, I've scanned this in Photoshop. Again, there are other packages available, but I find Photoshop really useful. So hopefully you can see there's a lot of kind of grey in the background here. The lines aren't necessarily black. So what I want to do is click on the the kind of layer itself, which says background, just give it a name. What it does, it removes it from the canvas and makes it editable. So what I'm then going to do is rotate the canvas round. Help if I rotate it the right way. And hopefully you can see here, we have the image. Now, I don't know if you can see, but obviously when I've scanned it in, pull a ruler across, it's not straight. Now what you can do, one of the brilliant features in Photoshop is the ruler tool. So if you drag the ruler tool from one point to the far side and then go to image rotation in arbitrary, what it does, it calculates what angle percentage that needs to be to rotate it back to straighten it up. So hopefully you can see now, that's kind of straightened it up. If you're not sure, there's also another feature here, if I can zoom in. No, I can't zoom in too much. The history tool. Okay, so if you want to go back, you can then go back through all the kind of commands you've done. It's a bit like Control Z, but it kind of lets you specify how many kind of undos you want to do, and you can use the history paintbrush tool to kind of paint some of the mistakes away. So once we've got this done, what I want to do is go to mode and adjustments, and I always click on the levels tool first. So we're going to darken up. Hopefully you can kind of see that if you pull it in really dark, darken up the image itself. So again, we want the black to kind of come through as black. We're going to lighten it up, so hopefully you can kind of see the background is now not grey anymore. So we've clicked OK. What I like to do is select the magic wand tool and kind of delete the background information. So hopefully you can see what I've done here is taking out this white background. There's also some information here which I had on the original scan, which you may not be able to see, but I'm just kind of rubbing it off. Now, one of the best things you can do is add a colour background in. So I'm going to merge the layers again. I've turned it to colour. I'm just going to pick a random colour, and what this allows me to do is paint the background in, drag it behind it, and then I can pick up any additional bits of kind of information that's been left behind by kind of using the magic wand tool. You can spend time using the paintbrush tool if you want to, but by adding a coloured background, it kind of lets me see all of these bits of kind of data, this information which is kind of been left on the object itself, which kind of needs to be removed. Now once I've done that, I can just switch that off, or even better, I can bin the layer. What I'd like to do now is flatten the layer itself. Discard the hidden layer, and again, it's pure white background. What I would do is save that in a file, and then using Illustrator, I open it up and scan it. And now I've already reduced this down to 1:1, so it comes in 2:1. Let me show you the size it kind of comes in at. Okay, so it would be this size when it came in. Obviously, I then reduce it down to 1:1. I've also got some layers here. So I've got the scan itself. I've included the scale bar, which goes on with the drawing itself, and then the detail. Now, you may remember when I was talking on Wednesday and Thursday that we had some kind of enamel here. So what I've done in Illustrator is create a layer and then added a transparency to it, so you can kind of still see through the layer itself for the detail of the stippling that I added underneath. Again, when you're doing this, I've kind of made sure I've got a grid. So using the rulers, I've got a kind of grid around it. Hopefully that's clear. And then obviously I've put these little markers which show the kind of the rotation around the object itself. Now, I have had people commenting on saying kind of the kind of this angle of the brooch, should be kind of over the other side of the view. It doesn't really matter. If you look through some of the publications, kind of drawing archaeological illustration by Griffiths, Jenner and Wilson, they have a layout of brooches, and some of the side views are on different sides of each brooch. It's up to the specialist. It's not up to me which view they want to show or how they want to show it. I just work from the specialist notes and kind of look at what they want and how they've laid it out in the sketches, and then kind of copy what they've done, because obviously there's a reason why they've kind of laid it out this way, why they want to show the detail itself. Hopefully that's clear. You can kind of go through, check that the object's dark enough. Obviously when you zoom in too much, you kind of start to get this kind of, you can start to see pixel level information. But once this is done, you save it, you embed the image if you're sending it to somebody else on Illustrator. A lot of the time in the past I've made mistakes where you just link the scan in, and when you send the Illustrator file, the link doesn't appear. So if you embed the image in or create a PDF, that allows the user or the kind of end person who's looking at it to kind of see the object. Hopefully you found that useful and found these workshops useful. Spend the next few minutes kind of answering any questions. If kind of, again, people do say why not just take a photograph? It's quicker. It's not always quicker to take a photograph. And obviously when you're looking at pot drawings and small fine drawings, sometimes you need to include sections, which you can't do from a photograph. Okay, you still need to measure the objects and kind of take a lot of the data and information. And as I said previously, obviously you use the skill of the illustrator to kind of look at what information the specialist's requiring. Why is that object so important to draw? Why do they want this object shown? Again, I've got some questions kind of coming in here. You can make shades directly in Photoshop. Yes, you can. But I still think that you can't better the kind of subtlety of a hand-drawn illustration itself. You can zoom into whatever level percentage you want in Photoshop. But when you zoom out, personally, I prefer to hand draw. Some people, if you want to use Photoshop, Illustrator, by all means, try it. But my preference, and it has been for about 30 years, is to still hand draw small fines. It lets you control every element of it. The pen, how the ink's put on the page, how many dots you put in. And obviously when it's drawn twice the size, you've kind of got a lot more control. Yes, Photoshop and Illustrator, you can go back and rub things out. But you don't have that kind of what I call finite control that you do over a drawing or a painting that you've got. Please comment, feel free to add some illustrations if you've done any, and hopefully I'll see you again soon. So thanks for joining.